Greetings and salutations back here in the Man Cave Sports. I got the esteemed Steven and Brian. Steve also knows Bear Lythan. You can find him on the socials. Brian, I don't think it's on a lot of the socials outside of Facebook. So, but you can find him there. Why is that, Brian? All right,
I'm a
left
guitar player. That's it.
left him speechless. That's a first, by the way, in the 40 plus years I've known him. So, anyways, here to recap a Vikings victory over the Atlanta Falcons, a game in which we saw Mr. Kirk O'Chain's return untriumphantly through a couple of picks, got booed, which we talked about last week on the show in advance, what the reaction would be towards him. Was kind of disappointed to see the fans boo him, but really, the end of the day, there was really not much to boo because the Vikings kicked that tail 42-21. Sam Darnold with 5 touchdown passes, no interceptions. Jordan Addison with 3 touchdowns, and Justin Jefferson with 2. And ironically, I found this out after the game. You guys have probably seen this too, that the Vikings in their history have never had 2 receivers go over 125 with multiple touchdowns in the same game, which considering, the likes of Moss, Carter, Thielen, Anthony Carter,
Bobby Moore.
Ahmad Rashad, and let's not forget the great Troy Williamson, but I digress. Um, so, so anyway, it's great to see the Vikings come out with another win. Obviously, they're on a high. And Steve, you were here in the man cave. We had a good old time. Celebratory shot of Jack Honey Whiskey, as we are wont to do when the Vikings pull off another one, which they've been doing a lot this season. So, your take on the game yesterday, or excuse me, Sunday.
Boy, that was, it started off. I was a little bit nervous because it kind of started, we started off a little bit slow. It felt like we didn't have the big turnover, and you know what I mean? Like we didn't have the big calamity, but we just weren't getting it done, right? So, we scored some points, we're moving, but it felt a little too close, and I kind of started to get a little bit nervous because beating some of these other teams that we've beaten this season, when we have been playing complementary football and we have been doing our best, the offense is crap, but the defense is great. The defense is crap, but the offense is great. We struggle a little bit getting all 3 phases together. And I think what we saw yesterday was a complete game by the entire team. The defense came up big. They got some, they intercepted Kirko twice. One of them, I don't know what he was doing. He threw it right between the numbers on Metellus. And the other one, he overthrew Pitts, which I don't know. Pitts kind of looked like he smoked half a bowl before he got out there. And, like he wasn't paying attention to looking for the ball, but, great pick nonetheless by our guy. But, special teams, our boy, the Shermanator's favorite, CJ Ham, recovering that kick return fumble. That was huge. Special teams came up big. And our offense in the fourth quarter just exploded, and just five touchdown passes from Darnold, like you said, multiple, 2 receivers over 125, multiple touchdowns. Aaron Jones got in the end zone. He didn't put the ball on the ground. He carried a lot. And one thing, the announcers were talking about, and something that I thought was pretty good is that, he didn't overreact. He didn't do like remember Tiki Barber where he didn't run with, like, it was basically under his chin. He didn't get crazy like that. Aaron Jones wrapped up when he needed to. So, I think they supported him well, and he handled it pretty good. So I was glad to see that. I was glad to see, Dallas Turner get in there, get a splash. He smoked that guy. He just loves just launching at these quarterbacks. Like he did that against, who was it? The newest Viking, Danny Dimes, right? Again, the Giants game, we saw that where he just came off the edge and just like launched from 8 feet away and smoked him. So, I mean, the defense stepped up and played well. The game plan, I think the Falcons game plan pretty well. They know that we have some weaknesses, over the middle, with that deeper third. And so, Kirk took advantage of that. But yeah, complete game by the Vikes, offense, defense, and special teams. All 3 phases showed up. All 3 phases played well. The only thing that was a blemish, I think, was Reichard missed the 1 kick, but, the guy just came off IR. So,
Did it with authority.
Yeah. So we'll give him one kick coming back from IR. But otherwise, I thought it was a really complete game. Probably the best we've looked all season. Naughty, you with your what is that band with the hat? Do you know what I'm talking about? That 90s band? They sing that song, Two Princes.
Oh, the Spin Doctors.
Spin Doctors, yes. Spin Doc Be Not. What do you got?
You know what? You missed some of the pre-banter before you got on, Steve. I thought he looked like the kid that stuck his tongue on the pole in A Christmas Story, but anyways,
The guy that went on to do porn.
Yes. Oh, Brian, floor's yours.
All right. Well, number one, the hat is a kind of a silent, subliminal message to the lovely and ravishing Mrs. Naughton that heat rises and the man cave gets a little cold down here. So, before I turned on these lights, I was seeing my breath a little bit. So bear with me, and I'm having a bad hair day. So you gotta go along with that. As far as my Vikes go, the one thing that I was totally interested in is my guy B-Flow against my guy Kirko. They've been playing against each other all last year. I was just, who's going to have the advantage on that? And then how Sammy Darnold compared to Kirko comes in on that. I know you guys have been razzing me on the social media about my favorite quarterback, Kirko. And yeah, you guys are really fucking funny. But let me tell you one thing about that. The Vikes have won 4 or 5 games in spite of Sammy D. And if Kirko is here, I don't see any difference in the record. But B-Flow did kind of come and get him, and I thought that was just great. And Sammy D, there's going to be some discussions at the end of this year. I mean, what are we going to franchise him? That's going to bring some bad blood, I would imagine, but it just worked out every way that I wanted it to. And plus, I had Sammy D on fantasy football. I thought that was kind of like genius to me. But I'm just tooting my own
0-4. 0-4. That's Kirko last 4 games. You want to know how many interceptions he's thrown in the last 4 games, Kirko? 8. That says 8.
We need to get you a mark.
I need a little whiteboard. If I'm going to do this,
let me tell you one thing about Mr. Kirko. If Kirko, a 36-year-old quarterback, came back from Achilles and he was on the same team that he was on for the last 4 or 5 years, I think he'd look a lot smoother, and I think he'd have a little less rough patches than Slinging Sammy D. Not saying I don't like Sammy D. Yeah. I'm a Sammy D guy, 190 points in fantasy, by the way. But hey, great win. It's nice to see them put the accelerator down. It's nice to see them put somebody away rather than just that end of the 4th quarter. Oh my gosh, how is KOC going to pull this off? But that's football. And I love our 2 coaches, and I think blank check for B-Flow. Mr. Mike.
Yes. So we'll get to Sam Darnold next. I just want to finish recapping the game from Sunday and go with our mainstays, our pieces, how we like to close these out. So I will say my unsung hero is CJ Ham, who recovered a fumble, continues to be a beast on special teams throughout his tenure with the Vikings, runs an occasional touchdown every now and then, and is a very underrated pass catcher and a hell of a blocker. So, but obviously another big turnover. They won the turnover battle the other day, and that was huge. Steve, give us your bad MFer of the game.
Yeah, my bad MFer. This is going to segue nicely because he hasn't gotten one at all this season. But my bad MFer is our beautiful quarterback, Samuel Darnold. And be naughty. Before you keep going with Kirko, could you take him off the cross? Because we could use the wood to heat the basement, okay? He got $100 million bouncing from us.
I'm in.
$100 million to go run to Atlanta and be on a sub-500 team.
The grass ain't always greener where your wife.
Choices got consequences. But Mr. Darnold is up to 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 3,299 yards. He's the best in the NFC in our division, right? Love has got 24 touchdowns, 11 picks. Goff has got 25 touchdowns, 10 picks. He's got more yardage than either of them, right? And
what about
he's
Tulip Williams? He's got like 21 and 7. Caleb
What?
Williams.
who? That was the kid that was going to the most quarterback-friendly program in the NFC North, right? He was good. That was the best place for a rookie to land. He was, yeah, okay. He can.
Said that.
All the NFL analysts were telling us, how the Bears are it's such a wonderful. Shut up! He's a rookie, and it's the Bears. The Bears haven't been relevant since like 1986. Let's be honest. They made one Super Bowl since then, and it was a gift to give to our buddy Gopher Tony Dungy his Super Bowl. So let me just say this: Sam Darnold, 5 touchdowns, threw for over 350 yards. And he looked amazing, right? I'm sorry, he didn't. There was like I think normally we talk about when we're watching the games, Mike, that he coughs up like 2 or 3 possible, pick ball. There was like 1 I think that we saw that was like questionable. I mean, even the one that he got hit on, it turned into a touchdown. Because Addison made a nice adjustment back to the ball. I mean, it just wasn't even close. The reaction around the NFL today is like, okay, he's legit. Now everybody's trying to figure out it's not, Sam Darnold, is he going to blow the season for the Vikings? Everybody's like, ooh, what's his contract going to be? Ooh, who's going to pick him up? What's the best situation for him? That's why he's my bad MFer, because he came out yesterday and he showed that this season he's had ups, he's had downs, but you know what? He's had a lot more ups and downs. And he played a complete game yesterday. I don't know, like KOC said, I don't know how he didn't get a perfect quarterback rating because I don't know what else the guy was supposed to do. It was kind of ridiculous. I'm like 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. He wasn't dribbling the rock on the ground. He wasn't, he wasn't airmailing anything. He threw the ball away, he threw it away intentionally. It was a good game. He took the sacks when he needed to, and he's my bad MFer. And he outdueled Kirko in our house, the house that Kirko helped try to build. And so I give it to Mr. Sammy D. I don't know, we'll talk a little bit here about where he's going to go and what's going to happen with him, but he definitely gets my bad MFer for the game yesterday. Spin Doc McNaught, what do you got?
Oh, wow.
Wow. Well, anyways, my big concern, I brought it up the last 3 games, is that running game. Aaron Jones lit it on fire last year, the last 5 games, because he was out for 8 games with a hamstring injury. I think maybe the 30-year-old running back, it's kind of coming to a head, and KOC is so loyal to that guy. He basically changed the culture in the locker room. He says it every week on the PA show. But that would be a concern, whether to cut down his carries, maybe get a little Cam Akers going in there, maybe even throw a token 2-3 carries to Ty Chandler, see if he wants it. That is my concern. But other than that, I don't really have any concerns. I mean, B-Flow, KOC, let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah, and ironically, quietly, I was thinking before when looking at the statistics, they quietly had a decent rushing game. I mean, they were 24 for 115. Cam Akers had a big one. He ran off there for 25 yards. So, I mean, as much as it was a pass-dominated game by Darnold and company, the rushing game was pretty decent, much better than some of the prior weeks. But really probably the most complete performance right from special teams, defense, offense from the team the entire season. So they're definitely on a high note right now. Which brings us back to Sam Darnold. And I know Steve and I were on social media today on Twitter /X, whatever the hell they want to call it these days. But talking to some fellow Vikings fans and writers and whatnot about the status of Sam Darnold. As everybody knows, we signed him to a 1-year contract, I believe, for $10 million, something in that ballpark. And he was supposed to be a stopgap for J.J. McCarthy's rookie year, which came to a screeching halt in preseason. But, the future of Sam Darnold is going to be very interesting. I know we got 4 games plus playoffs, and we'll see what happens, but he's been on fire the last 5 weeks, 11 touchdowns, no interceptions, playing as good as any quarterback in the league. Doesn't get the benefits of, say, a Patrick Mahomes, because I've seen him get face masked like 5 different times and nobody calls it. I think I saw Burrow get face masked last night too, and it didn't get. The NFL officiating is garbage these days. And I mean, let's be honest, every fan out there and anybody that watches this podcast can't say with a straight face that the Chiefs don't get the benefit of so many calls. It's ridiculous. But try to stay on topic with the Vikings. Sam Darnold, his future with the team, a lot of opinions on it. What they're going to do after the season. Obviously, we're in a decent cap situation for 2025, as I believe Kirk Cochains is off the books completely. I think we had to pay him $30 million in dead cap this year. So the Vikings are in a favorable situation, but the NFL, the landscape of it, it's a little bit different these days. You see a lot of teams sitting there with those friendly contracts, or you get a Patrick Mahomes who, has been excellent up until this point. He's having a little bit of a rough year, despite the refs doing everything in their power to help him. What do they do with Sam Darnold after this year? If he continues to play like he does, the Vikings go perhaps on a playoff run or anything of that nature. Steve, what do you think the future holds for Mr. Darnold with the Vikings?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like I said, the narrative around Mr. Darnold has definitely changed in the national landscape, because it was more about, people saying, "Oh, I don't believe in Darnold, they're not going to go," and people weren't even recognizing the Vikings. Now it's, the size of the contract, who he should go to, what would be the best landing spot, should he leave it all? My thought is, yeah, he could chase the bag, and somebody's going to be willing to pay him, right? They're going to say, okay, look at what KOC did. Now, granted, you don't have an Addison and a Jefferson and a Hawkinson and these guys waiting for you, but there are other landing spots that might not be a bad place. I mean, he could swap back and go to the Giants. They got Malik Neighbors, right? He could end up at Malik Neighbors' neighborhood. He could end up down in Dallas, depending on how that hamstring injury heals for Prescott. Cooper Rush ain't blowing anything up. Cooper Rush ain't putting up 5 touchdowns and 350 yards. Right. So there's definitely different landing spots out there where he could go. He could end up with the Saints. He could, you know what I mean? Like the Saints, I don't think they're sold. Derek Carr's been injured this year, one way or the other. And then there's always the Raiders will be more than happy to throw a bucket of cash at him, let him come live in Vegas, and he can suffer the slings and arrows of being out there and getting. But I don't know that he wants to do that. Right. Here's my logic, and maybe people think I'm a little bit nuts. The one really, really good year he's had, right, has been here. Right now, let me ask you this: more yards, Darnold or Mahomes?
Darnold. Easily.
Yeah, Darnold. It's not even. Darnold's got more yards. Who's got better passing? Yards per attempt. Darnold. Better than Mahomes. He's over 2 yards better per attempt. I'm just taking a look at these things here. And Patrick Mahomes has got like almost 25, 30 more. He's got almost 80 more passing attempts than Darnold does. Darnold's got a better completion percentage. He's got more touchdowns. He's got less interceptions. This guy can get paid. But where is this happening for him? Here in Minnesota. It's happening here in Minnesota with KOC, with Justin Jefferson, Addison, and Hawkinson. He's got it's a committee running game, right, with Aaron Jones and Cam Akers. But I mean, you've got a decent running game where they're putting up close to 100 yards a game, 80 to 100 yards a game. Jones is a threat out of the backfield as well. Oliver, Munt, you got guys that are really, this offensive line, has done a good job of taking care. Brian O'Neill didn't up until yesterday. I don't think not only had he not given up a sack, he hasn't really given up a pressure in like 5 weeks, right? Up until yesterday. So, I mean, he's been doing okay. I don't know that he can repeat this anywhere else. I don't know where, if you look at the landscape of the NFL, where's he going to go that he's going to have this kind of support, this kind of set of weapons around him, they don't exist. I mean, let's face it, the Bengals ain't coming for him so he can throw to Jamar Chase. And to be honest with you, I don't know that that McCarthy will be ready to beat him out this next year. He's not getting his normal rookie season where you'd be sitting behind people and he's getting reps in practice every time and, being the backup and learning, he's getting to do the mental stuff and seeing the game plan, but he's not getting the physical reps. He's not getting the throws. He's not getting the time to practice. He's not getting any of that right now because he's been sitting. So JJ really hasn't had a true rookie season. If I was Darnold, I'd almost say, look, let me find and let's set up a deal that's not completely team friendly, but not going to scare away the other suitors, because then he could ride it out with us, have a little bit more of a prove it time. He's got a decent contract that somebody else would have to take on, but not prohibitive to keep him from going after somebody that, Jordan Love blows a knee out. All of a sudden they want, he could run over there. There's a bunch of scenarios that could happen for him. And then McCarthy takes over partway through next season. Don't forget, we do have stashed in our back pocket, little Danny Dimes, and he might stay around, right? So, I mean, you don't have to just ride with Nick Mullins and JJ McCarthy. So you've got some options there as well. But I guess I think my feeling is that he signs a decent deal, nothing crazy. He doesn't need $40 million a year. People are saying, oh, you can do that, but he's only done this one season, right? I don't know that somebody's going to pay him $40 million a year for one season of work.
Isn't that his franchise number as well? Or I saw something floating around about 40 or 42 million would be his franchise number. And
that's the franchise tag for quarterback.
I can't remember any players recently who've been franchised. It's usually like it's frowned upon by the players, and a lot of the teams don't like to do it. I know Kirko used to do that on a annual basis his last few years with Washington, but really it's not utilized unless you really want to piss the player off, as far as I can see.
Yeah, so my feeling is that he does sign a deal with us, 2-year, 3-year deal, something like that. Something that, that's, maybe 20, 25 mil a year, something, middle of the road. I don't see him pushing 30, 20, 25 mil. I could see that. And then he puts him in a situation where we could trade him. Somebody could come trade for, come to us and get him when we're, especially when we're ready to move the McCarthy and somebody else wants to get him. Okay, cool. Here he is. Or, we're talking draft day. Maybe we take Darnold and that compensatory pick that we'll probably get for having Danny Dimes on the team and package that together to somebody else who needs a quarterback. Maybe then we go up in the draft and we pick who should be the Heisman Trophy winner, Mr. Gianti from the Smurf turf up in the Boise Blue State, and bring him in to be our starting running back. That'd be something I'd like to see. Spindock McNutt, what do you got, bud?
Well, you know what? Mike hit on this. I mean, that franchise tag. What I was going to say about Sammy before he hit on that was that, the franchise tag is kind of frowned upon by the players and the brotherhood. It's like you're holding them back. You're not letting them get the bag. And the franchise tag, I think, is like 38 to 42 million, something like that. Worst case scenario, you franchise them. Let's hope it don't come to that, because we got like $63 million left. We got a couple guys, Byron Murphy, for example, Pori Hemplo. You guys didn't know I was bilingual, did you? It's got to be. You gotta use that, because that was Queefy's whole deal, is to get us out of the cap peril and let things happen. And as Mr. Steve said, that, the Bears, everybody's talking about the Bears and their offensive 3 wide receivers and their development. No, everybody's talking about KOC. All those rookie quarterbacks, Jaden, Drake May, Caleb, all of them wanted to come play for KOC. So hopefully that Sammy and Queefy can come up with something, but KOC's got to sign off. He's our resident quarterback guru. Hopefully they can come up with something where it's not a franchise and a promise of not trading you and $25-30 million for 1 year. If not, I love JJ McCarthy. I mean, that guy, I mean, granted, he's hurt right now. He had his second operation, but man, that's the guy I wanted in the draft all along. I think it's back to B Naughty's nature nurture issue. I think it's nature. I think it's all KOC. I think that hell, Ted Letourneau could come and maybe throw for 100 yards and a touchdown. I'm just telling you, it's the way I see it. And but you don't want to shit on them. They're just like, hey, we're franchising you, like Dan Snyder. That's probably not the best way of going about it. And as a quarterback, as Kirk did, he did that on purpose just to accumulate more money. And I do agree with you guys on that. I'm not really worried either which way. I just hope that Sammy D and Queefy and KOC, they come to a thing. You know, I don't think it would hurt that JJ sits another year. And if something does happen to Sling and Sammy, his foot, his knee, his right hand, all this year, we got a pretty damn good backup. That's not Slick Nick Mullins. No, it's not. So I think we're in just the catbird seat, to be honest with you. Back to you, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Personally, I think if you can get him, to a 3 or 4 year contract somewhere in the, 80 to 90 million range, somewhere
the
in
Baker
that
money, 3 for 90. Isn't that what Baker got?
something along those lines, which I think
That's
is fair.
still a
I think
lot.
it's respectable. I don't think that's a slap in his face, but who knows? I mean, some team might be willing to give him a big bag. I mean, did you see Kirkle getting the kind of money he did?
And look what happened to him. I mean,
Well,
can you see
exactly.
Sammy
So,
on the Giants seeing ghosts again?
yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, so the Vikings have the case study of what not to do when you're in that situation. So who knows? I mean, it'd be interesting to see. But to me, I will quote Mike Tice: "Enjoy the season." I as much as I have talked about
Calm
it today,
down.
people, calm down. Ironically, little known fact, I was there when he said that. That was at the draft when we let 2 teams slide in front of us, and there was
Evan
a guy.
Williams.
Yes, and there was a guy sitting a couple rows up from us. This is the first and last draft party I'll ever go to, by the way, because the people there were psychotic. But this guy was ready to go up on stage and try to hand Mike Tyson new. And I don't know if he realized how big and bad Mike Tyson was.
6'8", 250.
Yeah, but that he was telling some guy in the crowd to calm down. It was one of the oddest moments I've ever witnessed in person. And I told my brother-in-law.
Red McCombs is squeezing them pennies, though. That's what that was all.
I just remember that was my cue to get the hell out of there because, I don't know, too many crazy Vikings fans in one spot for me. Anyways, but we'll see what happens. We're in a good space, and I want to enjoy the next 4 games in the playoffs and see where this team goes and worry about the offseason. And with that, we will go to as Winston did last week. I don't know if you saw that when he did the old Monday Night Anthem theme with the team. Before he threw, was it 3 pick sixes in that game? No, 2. There was almost a third one right at the end. And I know he's praying to the Lord to relieve him of that.
God love him. He's a national treasure, though. Good TV, baby.
I'll tell you what, man. He is very entertaining. I mean, the guy's got a cannon for arm, can throw touchdown passes, but man, he can't get away from those turnovers. But Monday Night Football.
Seafood buffets are awesome, too. I hear he likes crab legs.
Yes, I've heard that as well. But Monday Night Football comes to town. Fortunately, I will be in attendance with my son. I have not been to a Vikings game this season, which is kind of out of the norm for me. But excited to get back to US Bank Stadium. My assumption is it won't be nice enough for them to open the doors, which I always love. But I will say this: I've been to many primetime games in that stadium, and it is lit. It should be a good time. It's a division rival in a season where the team's successful. So I'm looking forward to it. However, it's the Bears. And Brian, you and I have had this discussion many times, man. For whatever reason,
it's not Soldier Field, though.
No, it's not. But still, it's still the Bears, and I know they're on a losing streak. But if you've watched them play, they've played fairly well. I mean, they got a new coach, so they're perhaps a little motivated. They had the Lions there for the taking, and unfortunately, didn't call the timeout. That as everybody in America sat and watched while they were feasting on turkey. But Be interesting
Unreal.
to see. But I mean, the Vikings come in as 7-point favorites. I think they'll be amped up. They're ready. And I do know, I believe Detroit plays Buffalo on Sunday. I believe it's at home, which is crazy. I swear that the Lions have been at home.
They're at home
3 weeks
every
straight.
game, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I want to look at I want to break down their schedule. I think they played like 12 home games and 5 road games this season. I don't know what the hell is going on.
I think they're
and
only
here's
went
the
to
thing.
Tennessee and Jacksonville. I
Yes.
swear.
Yes. And here's the ironic thing. We played them the last game of the season in Detroit. So I don't know what's going on with that schedule. But anyways, the Vikings might roll into Monday with the chance to tie them for the division lead. Now I know they own the tiebreaker, but it makes it for an interesting scenario for the last game. And if you watch Detroit the last few weeks, they're good. We all attested. I think a lot of people would say they might be the best team in the NFL. However, they have looked very beatable lately. And yes,
the Lions, Bears just got smoked by the Niners. The Niners got a little healthy against the Bears, and the Lions got to face the Niners the week before us. And the Niners are looking to stay in the playoffs, so they're not going to be pulling any punches. So, yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I don't know that week 17.
We don't want to spoil our content for future weeks. So sorry that I got us off track there, but Monday night, big game, and the Vikings, look to keep pace with Detroit. So, Steve, what are you looking forward to on Monday? What are you looking for out of this team with an opponent that everybody will expect them to walk over on?
Yeah, I think it's a prove it game for us, right? We finally put together a really complete game. I mean, we did really good against the Giants week 1, but week 1's kind of a liar, right? We all know that. This is the first really good complete game I think that we had against the Falcons. We looked good in other games, like the first time we beat the Packers, we raced out to 28-0, and then we got to let it be a nail biter. Last time we played the Bears, we should have been, we gave up 11 points in like what, in the last 2-3 minutes of the game. So we just put up our best, probably overall game of the season. I think this is going to be a prove it game. I'm hoping that the whiteout jerseys, the iced out jerseys as they're calling them, that's going to be, bring us some luck. But it's a prove it game. It's okay. The Bears now are going to do one of two things. If you get up on them, they'll quit. They'll roll over. There's 4 games left in the year. Guys are either going to be playing for contracts, playing not to get hurt, playing to audition for other teams. They know this is going to be ripped apart. They've got new head coach, new assistant coaches. It's going to be blown up. So if you let this team have hope, you let them come into the get in the late in the second and have a chance at winning, they're going to stay interested. You get them, if you're midway through the second, you got them you're up by 14, they'll roll over. But yeah, it's a prove it game. So we're going to find out a lot about our team in the next 4 weeks, and I think the biggest one is going to be next Monday. I think that's going to be the biggest one. Primetime game at home. You've got a division rival who you're not really sure exactly what you're going to get. They'll be willing to roll over, but if you give them hope, they'll be coming after you. So it's a prove it game, and that's the big thing for me. I think as long as Sammy D doesn't put the ball on the ground or decide to throw the Bears instead of us, I think we'll be okay. But again, like Cashman, he's going to be he's the straw that stirs the Vikings drink, and I want to drink some mojitos. So get it going, bud.
Is that 11-0 in the Blake Cashman era when he plays?
11-0.
Well, I'm calling my lawyer in the morning and talking to him about copyright infringing on the Reggie Jackson straw that stirs the drink comment. But I'm going to move on because I'm a bigger guy, Steve. Well, anytime that there's Eberflus had to be fired. Everybody in America saw that. I mean, it was like dumbfounding. I mean, I am dumber for having watched that. It was just absolutely ridiculous. And you can't blame it on the quarterback. The quarterback tried to take a little bit of heat, but he's a rookie. You got to have some leadership there. But the Bears, they damn near beat all of us in this division. And Packers, that block field goal. The Lions, that boner right there. They were playing us a little tough too. Last week, I'm in this national pick'em game or league with like 20 people from different parts of the country, and I was dead certain that the Bears are going to show up and beat the 49ers, even in Santa Clara. You get a new coach, you get new lease on life, and how upset they were in the locker room after that Detroit loss on Thanksgiving. But yeah, they proved to be turds. I like to see that, but I ain't just saying we're gonna roll over them if we do this A, B, C, and D. I'm not saying that. It's gonna be a tough game, but at least I have the best coach in the NFL, and I have the best defensive coach in the NFL. So 7 might be a lot. I'll take Vikes by 3.5. Michael.
Oh wow, good. That sounds well. Hell. Sounds like I'm in for an exciting venture on Monday night. I can't wait to get out there and get back into the swing of things. Well, gentlemen, that wraps up another Vikings Weekly for week number 13. Only 4 more left to go for the Vikings and playoffs.
A lot more than that, kid.
I haven't checked lately, but my assumption is we're in the high 90s. I mean, we might even clinch
97.6, baby.
Okay.
Yep. If the Rams lose Thursday night, we're in. If we win Monday night, we're in. And then there's one other. I lost it. But yeah, we're right there. I mean, if we don't really need any help from anybody. I mean, we'd have to lose out and somebody'd have to go crazy for us to not make the playoffs right now. I mean, it's all but a lock. I think I saw another site that said it was like 98% or something as well. So we're right there. We can clinch this week. We could have already clinched a playoff spot by the time we get to Monday Night Football. We if the Rams lose Thursday night. So
the Cardinals is the other game that you were thinking of where we would be locked.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Well, sounds good. Looks like we got a lot of football to pay attention to this weekend. So appreciate everybody tuning in. And gentlemen, I will see you tomorrow night for Wolves Weekly. Have a good one.